Additional supply depots required. Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
SCV good to go, sir. I read you. Reporting for duty. Right away, sir. Yes, sir. Reporting for duty. Affirmative. You want a piece of
Gotta scout him last.
SCV good to go, sir.
Just keep it even.
Received. Jacked up and good to go. Orders, Captain. I read you.
Not enough minerals.
SCV good to go, sir. Orders, Captain.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
Orders received. Jobs finished. Orders,
Not
Captain.
enough minerals.
Orders received. Yes, sir. Reporting
Of course. He doesn't even have a fucking marine. He doesn't even have a fucking marine.
Uh-oh, played greedy.
You see this?
Do you see how disgusting this is? Played a total macro greed build.
Yeah, like, guys, you can't make this shit up. I scout him last. He doesn't scout me. He doesn't even have a marine. He doesn't have a wall. He doesn't have a bunker.
Unbelievable.
Battalion complete.
You watch the cop shooting that just happened? Nope. You can like it if you want.
Your forces are under attack.
Reporting for duty. Commander, jacked up and good to go. Standing by.
Oh, no ramp advantage, I don't think there, right? I don't know if it matters. Well, it does. It's less to hit, but I don't know if the guy would run or not. I don't know. This. Oh, Jade, what's up? Jade, how's life going?
You can't make this shit up.
Alright, well, speaking of making stuff up.
Your for-
Let's see. Oh, shit. Wait, did he shoot him just for fighting? What is happening here? Oh, she had a knife in hand, hard to see. Holy shit. One sec. I gotta watch this one more time. How did he notice? Oh my god, it's fucking RoboCop. Jesus. Oh my god. Jesus Christ, that's some crazy shit. The other cop is fucking clueless. Do police use FMJ rounds or do they use hollow points usually? Do you know what's like standard issue? So normally hollow point? Oh, mad tips. Okay, hollow points. Damn, this... Holy shit. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to like jerk the cop off, but that was like some crazy reaction. That was like super precise shooting. There was a fucking girl right next to her. Ordinarily, I'd say you probably should never be shooting in a neighborhood, especially with somebody standing like that close. But I mean, if she had a knife out, I don't even know how he noticed all of that so quickly. Oh my god. Oh yeah. Did she already stab her once? Oh my god. Jesus. Whew, damn, that's insane. Holy shit. This is pretty stupid. This is going to be the dumbest thing I've said all day. It seems pretty open and shut. Like, yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. I mean, the girl is attacking the other one with a fucking knife. I don't know what you expect the cop to do. Please stop. How old does this police officer think it's a good idea to fire shots blindly? I don't know what she means by blindly here. Into a group of teenagers having a fight. Yes, one of them has a knife. Oh, that never happened in your school or neighborhood? What? Is this a white person pretending that they're like from like some rough neighborhood or something? Oh, it's totally normal that kids are outside fighting with knives? Don't hashtag this girl. Oh God, don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't make me have to defend why some people are so stupid. There's no way that this girl will become like a mascot or whatever after that. No fucking way. The girl was attacking her with a fucking knife. People are saying they should have used a taser? Absolutely not, dude. The girl is trying to kill somebody. She's already on top of her with a knife. I can't believe she only got like one fucking stab. Taser isn't 100%. Taser, like, I don't know how. Where's Mad Tips at? Taser, what is like the likelihood of a taser working first try if you're on somebody's like sweatshirt? Like when somebody's got a hoodie on like that. This feels like a bad topic to ever talk about. I feel like we're about to. I unironically feel like I'm about to enter like a conservative arc. I actually can't even believe it. Like, teachers, school security break up fights like that with words and pepper spray? If police can de-escalate a kid shooting up a school without killing him, how could they be able to break up a fight without murdering someone? At least 3 officers and the only option was to shoot? How? I don't... Maybe they went to like the Karate Kid school or something? We need the Boondocks. Oh man. "16-year-old black girl who called for help fatally shot by police." Is this the same story or is this a separate thing that happened today? Makia Bryant. This is the same story. Okay. We're just gonna stay away from this one.
If a rocket travels, say, 1,000 miles an hour, how far does it go in an hour? Darnell.
You gnome fuck!
Shaquan.
As far as it wants, I mean, it's a rocket ship, right?
Not safe for work blood?
Randy.
I mean, it's a TV show. Okay, no more Twitch clips because we have blood. Cops say Blue Lives Matter after she died on the scene. Wait, where? Hold on, let me listen to this. This audio is horseshit. I can't do this 7-minute video. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so. Yeah, it's definitely.
Well, I wonder what they said beforehand. Dude, Twitter 15-second video clips is so garbage. Something that you learn. I feel like I'm so lucky. I feel like I got like a really good high school education or something, I guess, or I don't know. Something put me really far ahead of the average dipshit. Something that you learn. You probably learn this in any stats course, in any psych course, in any social science course, is that you've got like 3 different types of data we can have. If we draw a spectrum of like, if this is good data, and then this is bad data, on the right we have like representative, cross-sectional. This is like good data. In the middle, we have nothing. And what's even worse than having no data is incomplete data. People don't seem to understand this at all. If I'm told that there are 20 people in a room, like 10 white people and 10 black people, and I'm supposed to guess their criminal backgrounds, and I'm given one piece of data, and that one piece of data is that one black person has committed a crime, and 19 of the other people we don't know, you can draw a lot of conclusions off of that data that would be bad conclusions because you don't have enough data. It might be the case that 9 black people and 2 white people had committed crimes. It might be the case that 2 black people and 9 white people had committed crimes. But when you get these incomplete pieces of data, what happens is it allows you to use these incomplete pieces of data where you otherwise wouldn't be able to extrapolate something because if you have nothing, and then you extrapolate like this whole picture that might or might not exist. I don't know why, like... It's like WikiLeaks not leaking the GOP stuff. Yeah, exactly. I feel like people really don't understand this. I feel stupid having to even explain this. Chat, can chat help me understand why the U.S. police even carry tasers? If it's not for the police to have non-lethal force to use when the officer's life isn't at risk. Tasers are when you're trying to de-escalate a situation where the person's non-compliant and a gross amount of physical force would be necessary, so a taser should be gentler, ideally, right? But that situation, that was not a taser situation. You and Medlock have banter on Twitter and stuff, but is he actually a good person to listen to on economics takes? I'll disagree with Medlock around the edges on some things. I don't like the way he phrases some things, but I think for the most part, everything Medlock posts is usually pretty on point. Or I've never seen him post something where it's like, oh my god, that's so stupid. Like, I think we like disagree on this like weird, like, he doesn't like scaling welfare benefits because he's got a way of like mind fucking you into saying that it's actually just higher progressive or regressive tax rates. It's complicated. But I mean, like, for the most part, I think most of what I see Medlock post is usually pretty good. Should cops need to learn knife disarming? You can't just arm somebody with a knife. I agree with your bad data take, but how is the average person supposed to gauge whether the information they are receiving is complete? This is something that I said a long time ago. If you're seeing like a 12-second video, you probably should just wipe it from your mind. It's really hard when you're just given a 12-second video. You don't really know like what is happening. Like you have no idea what is the lead in or what's happening after. Like it's just not a good, like almost nothing of value is ever going to be seen from like a 12-second video. Like what do you hope to glean from that? We're drawing so many conclusions, like so many things could be happening. If there's not enough information given in a video such that you could think of ways to justify what's in the video or show what's happening in the video to be absolutely fucking horrible, that means you don't have enough information. So for instance, we see these cops saying Blue Lives Matter. So we can think of two competing scenarios here. In one scenario, maybe these black people from across the line, I'm guessing from the neighborhood, maybe they shouted, you know, fuck all cops, you motherfuckers need to die, you need to get the fuck out of our neighborhood, fuck you guys, go die or whatever. And then the cops are like, fuck you, Blue Lives Matter, whatever, right? Okay, whatever. That's not that controversial, you know, whatever. Maybe these black residents were saying stuff like, man, it's bullshit. Every time you come into our neighborhood, like, black people are getting killed. Like, this is fucked up. What's wrong with you guys? And then they're like, Blue Lives Matter. Okay, well, hold on. Well, now the cops, that's really fucked up. Why the fuck would you say that in response to these guys, right? So, but we don't know. We don't know what the fuck happens before this. So, like, the problem is right now there are different worlds of possibilities for what was said, right? These guys could be, like, huge fucking pieces of shit. Or maybe they were responding fairly to some, you know, unjust criticism these guys are living. But we don't know. We have no idea. We don't have the full video. Not only do we not have the full video, but now this is where I'm going to, this is where I'll get a little bit conspiratorial, but I'm going to do some inferencing here. I think that these guys probably did say something bad to the police officers because this video was recorded on a cell phone. Why are we only getting a 13-second clip? I doubt the person just started recording right here. I doubt that happened. Doesn't look like the person's holding their phone down. Doesn't look like they just turned it on. Looks like they were probably already recording and we missed something here. Twitter lets you upload longer videos than 13 seconds. Why would you only give us this little bit? I mean, like, maybe you just wanted the... Destiny's actually so wrong about this. There's a video where a cop disarms a kid with a knife. Wow. True.
We got rules around here. Never draw a weapon on a fellow soldier. You got that?
God, I can't believe Kieferland or whatever, or Sutherland or whatever, Kiefer Sutherland voiced this guy. So dumb. Did he just unbreak his arm?
Anyone here can use a knife or a gun. What you're gonna learn is how to use your head.
Let's move.
get that under your belt, then you're free to leave.
Unironically, it's just because Hideo Kojima got obsessed with the show 24. That's the reason why. That is the reason. Rats are fat, unironically. Isn't it actually really fairly hard to kill someone with a knife, or is that a meme I heard about memes? I think killing somebody with a knife is probably pretty easy. You're not going to kill them instantly. I mean, unless you get like lucky stabbing them, but I think killing somebody with a knife is pretty easy. Adam Toledo. I don't know anything about this. Making somebody eventually die with a knife is really easy. Making someone die instantly isn't. Yeah, that's why it's dumb when some people are like, oh, I carry knives for self-defense instead of like gun. Like, why the fuck would you carry a knife for self-defense? I mean, maybe you can scare somebody away with it, but like, the thing is that like if you have to defend yourself, you don't want to have a person on top of you. Chances are you're carrying a weapon because you're probably weaker than your opponent anyway. So why the fuck would you want to be in arm's reach of them? Don't put yourself in that situation. Carry a gun. Non-American here. Why do you always shoot to kill? Why can't it vary based on circumstances? Hitting somebody like in an appendage is usually incredibly difficult. Usually you don't have like the time or the luxury to line up that type of shot. Usually situations are super heated. Trying to aim for an appendage increases the likelihood that you'll miss, meaning the threat is active for longer, and you run the risk of hitting somebody innocent in the background via ricochet or something else. And then also, oftentimes, if you have the luxury of shooting somebody in appendage, it means that they're not an immediate threat, meaning there might be some other course of action you can get to subdue the person. You don't have to shoot them to do it. That's why typically you don't like aim for the legs, right? If a situation is so like not immediately lethal that you have the luxury of trying to shoot a leg or whatever, then you might as well find another way to subdue the person. I believe most of these kinds of interactions are just point shooting. No, it's hard to get those sights lined up in a stressful situation. No, I mean, you're pulling up and you line them up. I'm pretty sure you're lining up as a cop. You're not just randomly shooting. One thing that's really hard for a lot of people to understand if you've never dealt with a firearm before is that if you're not aiming down your sights and if you're not shooting, if you're not like ultra highly fucking trained or whatever, or really lucky, like holding a gun like right here and just trying to point it forward, like even at 10 yards, your shots are going to go way fucking off. You'll be shocked. If you just hold a gun in front of you without lining a sight up and you try to shoot, you will be amazed at like how off your bullets go. Like you have to keep in mind that even at 10 yards, an average person might have problems like not with somebody with a train out like a cop or whatever, but an average person might have trouble like nailing even like the center-ish part of a target at 10 yards while aiming down the sights. If you just hold a gun and just point it in a general direction and pull the trigger, you're not hitting anything. Like those shots are going wild. Here's a timestamp, 1,000 seconds where the officers in blue as man. Oh, okay, cool. We have full footage. That's good. Let's see what's going on. Hold on. I'm always scared of the random violence or some shit.
Yeah, because I just happened to look out my front door. I saw that cop car, 9142, sitting out there.
On Legion, out east. But yeah, so
Crazy.
Yep.
Insult. Especially at this place right now. Where someone
Yeah, it's definitely
What'd
an
the guy
insult. You
say?
sound stupid as fuck, bitch. Fuck.
That flag is a Blue Lives Matter flag.
The fuck, that girl just got shot. Did he just say that? Fuck.
Fuck, I can't hear him.
Yeah, because I just happened to look out my front door. I saw that cop car, 9142, sitting out there.
On Legion, out east. But yeah, so.
Blue Lives Matter. Crazy.
Oh no. Wait, am I wrong? Hold on. It sounds like this guy over here is the one saying Blue Lives Matter. Maybe I'm mishearing it. It sounds like it's this guy saying it, not the cop. Wait, hold on.
9142 sitting out there.
On Legion, out east. But yeah, so.
Blue Lives Matter. Crazy.
Yep.
Insult. Especially at this place right now. Where someone
Yeah, it's definitely an insult. You sound stupid as fuck, bitch. Fuck.
That flag is a Blue Lives Matter flag.
The
Blue
fuck.
Lives Matter. Wait, it's this guy that said it.
That girl just got shot. Did he just say that? He said, well, Blue Lives Matter? He just said that? Boy, shut the fuck up, because Blue Lives don't matter right now. I don't want to hear none of that dumb shit. The fuck is you talking about? The fuck this 15-year-old just got killed and you're talking about Blue Lives Matter? Get the fuck
He's talking about a flag.
serious.
Yeah.
Boy, shut the fuck up. You sound stupid.
He's just repeating what the cop probably said. Can you hear the cop say it all in here? Let's listen, I guess. Hold
And
on.
I ran out my two.
I heard like 8 shots.
Yeah. And I heard 4. And I ran out. My 2-year-old was out here, bro. Like, the fuck, that shit.
Your 2-year-old could've got shot.
Yeah, she was right here. Where my red car at?
Yeah, because I just happened to look out my front door. I saw that cop car, 9142, sitting out there.
On Legion, out east. But yeah, so.
Blue Lives Matter. Crazy.
Like, I am so sorry.
Yeah. I heard like, my brother heard like 8 shots.
Yeah. And I heard
Huh.
4. And I ran out my
I can't hear any cops say it here. And the people think that the cop is saying Blue Lives Matter, but it's actually the guy in the video. So no one. Okay. Whatever. What is the tweet claiming? The tweet is claiming that it's a cop. The cop is shouting Blue Lives Matter at them. That's what the tweet is claiming. 3 white officers say Blue Lives Matter to a group of black residents at the scene where police shot and killed a 15-year-old girl. Do you think the guy shouting the officer is saying it sarcastically? Well, it almost sounds like the guy, he sees like a Blue Lives Matter flag or something. God damn it, why am I getting involved in this? Oh, I need to play video games. What would you say if the girl was defending herself? Defending herself by running up with a knife? I always feel, dude, I don't know, it's real anymore. Where's our Metal Gear Solid 2, or our Metal Gear Solid 2 shit? While national eyes are on Columbus police because of the horrific slaying with 16, blah, 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 let me remind you of recent events that demonstrate their irredeemably tyrannical, racist, and violent nature. The night before, thousands of white Ohio State fans celebrated a practice football scrimmage by flipping and burning cars. Police did not come, and no one was arrested. So the no one arrested thing is bad, but like, I'm pretty sure it's standard practice because we saw this during the BLM stuff too. Cops don't typically go in and just break up riot. That's like a last resort thing. I don't think that cops are like, all right, we see the riot, we're gonna go fuck shit up. This is fucked up, to be clear, by the way. This is fucked up. But like, I think that typically the actual like cops fighting rioters and stuff is like that's like a last resort shit. Why the fuck are Ohio State fans? You guys are cringe, though. Jesus. Because there were plenty of videos of, like, BLM people. Well, not plenty, but there were videos of rioters that were destroying shit, and there weren't any cops doing anything, right? Like... getting jumped and you fight back with a knife destiny. I feel like that is imaginable. I don't actually think that was the case. She wasn't fighting back though. She charged the girl. What are you talking about? Did you see the footage in the next tweet? No, hold on. Columbus shot and killed a black man named Miles Jackson in the emergency room in St. Anne's Hospital, bringing him there for a suspected overdose. Oh shit, hold on, sorry. Jesus Christ, one sec. I don't know why it's randomly gets super loud.
You grabbing my balls, sir? You get that on. Yo, sir, you was grabbing my balls, man. Give me your arm now. Get out of there now! Man, you grabbing my balls, man. Oh, man. I can't. I'm giving it to you, man. You let go! You on my arms, man. Give me your hat now! Man, you on my arms, man. You really is on my arms, man. Get security, man. I'm going to comply.
What, he's like is he trying to reach into his pants?
I'm going to comply, bro. You just, oh, fuck, man. Oh, let go. Oh, man. It's still in there, dude. It's still in there.
Oh, he has a gun? Oh, shit. Was that his firearm or that was his firearm that went off? Oh, God. What is happening to the officer firearm? Holy shit, what's happening? Hold on. Did he limp wrist a shot? One sec. I think he... Where's Mad Tips? I think he limp wristed his shot, didn't he? Oof. I can't tell what type of pistol it is. I can't see. Oh, well, I can't show you. Well, maybe I can show you. What does that mean? When you're shooting a gun, it's a Glock and it jammed. Glocks don't jam. Okay, fuck that. If you're shooting a firearm, when you pull the trigger, something that happens is as the gas is expelled from the cartridge, the gas expelling does two things. Two important things happen. One is it sends the bullet forward, but the second thing it does is it sends the slide back. The slide moving back does two things. One, it ejects the cartridge, absent the bullet that's fired out, and two, it feeds another round into the chamber. But the problem is that if you limp wrist a shot, meaning if you shoot and you let the whole gun come back due to recoil, then what happens is when you pull the trigger, when the explosion happens and the bullet comes forward, instead of the slide moving back completely, the whole gun will move back. The slide doesn't move back far enough, and then what happens is either the casing doesn't get completely ejected or the next round isn't fed completely into the chamber, and then you end up with a jam, basically. So you have to eject mag, you've got to clear, you've got to reload, and then rack the slide again. If you ever have the chance, if you try to fire a firearm, if you hold it with a very weak wrist and you shoot, then what happens is your gun will jam almost every time. I think most pistols, semi-autos feed that way, right? Yeah, that's what limp wristing a shot means. I don't know 100% if this was limp wristed. That's just what it looks like. Somebody saying YouTube comments, slowed it down. Gun goes off in the perp's pants as they're fighting for control of it. Camera cop shoots once and induces a short stroke feed ramp jam because he had his left thumb behind the slide. Oh, he could have been blocking the slide with his thumb. I feel like that would fuck your thumb up really hard. I guess it's possible. But that would be like the same principle then, though. You'd be blocking basically the action, the slide coming back. You'd be blocking that movement, which would prevent it from feeding into around that. Destiny, 1,000,000% limp wristed it. The slide didn't come back all the way. His wrist absorbed too much of the energy, preventing it from picking up anything. Oh, well, Madtip said he limp wristed. I don't know. Unmute Madtip, sorry. You can see, but people are saying you can see that his thumb was behind the slide. I don't know. I don't know if I can slow this video down. Oh. I think it was. It was the thumb on his left hand. When you hold a gun, one hand goes this way, and then your other hand is supposed to come up here. Sometimes, well, hold on. Your thumb's supposed to be here. If you put your thumbs up here and you shoot, then the slide will come back and it'll hit your finger. Obviously, this guy knows that, but probably nervous and he didn't grab the pistol correctly. You can see it because he like moves his hand away afterwards because I think he got bit by the slide coming back.
My fucking guns!
This cop is so mad. Holy shit.
No, stay there.
The guy's in a hospital with a fucking firearm trying to like shoot people. What the fuck are the cops supposed to do?
I dropped it. No, you didn't. Put both hands up now. I dropped it. Put your hands up. My hands is up, sir. Don't move. My hands is up.
It gets worse.
My hands Put your hands up where we can see them. My hands is up.
Damn, the dude already discharged. He already ND'd. Already negligently discharged a round into his fucking
Destiny
leg or dick or
today
something.
bonus meme. There is no bonus meme.
Just watch out. He already fired. On the wall. On the wall. He's got a gun. My hands is up, sir. Get your other hand up now. Get it up. Get it up. Take your hand up. Put your hand up now. You twist my arm, sir. Get up. In your room 9. He's still got a gun. Go. Get your hand up. I got it up. Get your other hand up. Okay. Now. Now. Get it up. Get your hand up. Get your hand up now. Get your hand up now. Now. Get your hand up. I am, sir. I am. Are you okay? Yeah. Can't really move. Alright, I am, sir. I am, sir. I am. Can you just calm down, sir? I am. I can't move, man.
I was one that tried to bridge Sam Cedar and Destiny on the majority report. Wait, who are you? Are the hands up? I can't see it because the guy's behind a hospital bed. But this guy's got a gun in his pants and he already fired one round.
Let go of it. Let go of it. I let go of it, sir. It's on the floor. Put your fucking hand up.
I think I can only see like one hand reaching up. I can't see the other one.
My other hand is up, sir. Put it up above your head. Put it on your head. Get your right hand up. We're trying. Other hand, dumbass.
Can we agree that cops are just shit at issuing commands? Why can't we designate one person to give commands rather than 3? I don't know why that's not SOP. I feel like one of the first things that you learn in like any leadership position, whether we're talking video games or real life, is you have to have one person issuing commands. I don't know why. I don't know why that doesn't seem to be the case when police officers show up. There's not like a designated like line of succession. Like this guy is calling the shots. This guy's calling the shots. This guy's calling the shots. Like none of this like hands up, hands down, blah blah blah. Like why? I don't know why. I don't know why that's not more clearly delineated.
I'm just scared if I put your hand on your head. Be careful. He fired a shot off. I don't even know how I didn't get hit. Put your hands up now! I'm just scared. Get your fucking hand up, dude. Get your... Andy's in the room with him. Get your hand up, dude. You got about 4 guns on you. My hand... You make a wrong fucking move and you're gone. You understand that? That's what I'm saying. My hand is up. Get your other hand on your head. Now. I don't want to make... Get another hand up now. Get your right hand up, dude. Right hand up. Don't do it. I'm not going to do it. Don't do it. I'm not going to do nothing. Get your right hand on your head now. Put your other hand up. Dude, my hand is on my head, sir. No, get your right hand up. Okay. Put your hand up. Yep. So if I move, y'all not going to shoot me. Hand up now. Hold on. Let's wait till we get somebody else in here.
Is he actively trying to die? He wants to kill the cops and leave. That's what he doesn't want to go to jail or whatever. He's just trying to find an opening. So if you ever watch, I know it's not popular to take the other side of this, but if you ever go and watch like cop killing videos where the cops are getting killed, usually what the person's goal is to just kind of like play dumb and resist. And it's so bad because we only ever see it from the civilian side because most people don't like watching like execution videos. But like you see videos like this and it looks like really sad, like, oh my God, like this poor guy's on the ground, blah, 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 blah. But if you look at it from the other perspective, usually what'll happen is like, it'll be like a traffic stop. Yeah, there's one where the 2 white cops get shot by the white dude in the car. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't move out. And they're so patient. They're like, dude, move, get the fuck out, blah, 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 blah. I mean, like they're shouting at him. And then the guy's like, oh, okay, I'm getting out. I just don't want to go to jail. Oh, like he's acting dumb. Everything's sympathetic. And then as soon as he gets like a position, boom, 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 boom. Like he shoots to death, I think one cop, and I think he shoots the other one like 2 or 3 times. You can hear the guy like screaming or whatever, like as he's like getting killed. And the guy walks up and shoots him in the head and then walks away. You saw it happen with there's a really old one, Kyle something, the officer that gets shot by the World War II vet that pulls the rifle out of his car. He does like the suppressing fire, walks in a straight line and like shoots the cop. The cop's like screaming like as he gets hit once, and then the guy repeats the same movement and does it again and kills him. Like usually it sucks because we see it from the cop perspective and it always looks like so like sad when you see like an innocent person dying and they're like screaming like, oh, I'm just trying to do this, I'm trying to comply or whatever. But the problem is that from the cop's perspective, it looks the exact same as somebody that's looking for an opening to execute you. Because that's what it like, yeah. Play some of those videos. I mean, I can't show them on stream, but like...
Yeah.
All right, let me get that too. Step out of the vehicle.
So I'll just play like a minute of this, but like this is after 6 minutes of struggling with this guy.
Stop talking. Here's what's gonna happen.
I don't have a history of narcotics. What'd you fucking say? That's bullshit.
Drug paraphernalia, narcotics, whatever it is. You got a history of it.
Oh my God, that got dropped.
Getting told.
That got dropped.
Your charge getting told. Step out of the car, man.
You can't.
Hang on. Step.
You can't take bullshit. Don't fucking open my door.
Step out of the car, dude.
David, step out of the vehicle. Come on.
This is bullshit, dude.
It's not. You wouldn't be here if you didn't pull out in front of a cop car while I got a green light, dude.
I pulled out in front of you. I had plenty of fucking room. This
Step
is
out of the car.
bullshit.
Step out of the car.
I'm not stepping out of the car.
Step out of the car.
I am not. You better call your supervisor or something. Y'all are drinking.
I'm right here. I'm the sergeant. He's asking you to step out of the car.
I'm not stepping out of my car.
You have 2 choices. You can step out under your own power, or...
Man, this is bullshit, dude. I just got this car.
Okay.
Why can't you give me a fucking chance, dude? Like, fuck.
Well, why don't you step out of the car and let us talk about it instead of sitting here?
I know my rights. I know how
okay,
this
right
works.
now...
Y'all are gonna fucking... I know how this works.
Here's the deal. Right now, you're driving a car that's over 60 days due on the tag.
I'll get a tag.
You don't have insurance.
I do have insurance.
Where is it?
Man.
But...
Y'all can look it up. Y'all can look it up.
We can if you haven't got a tag, but we need you to step out of the car.
Now.
You have 2 choices.
Hey, dude, just step out of the car right now. Otherwise,
you need
one more time. This guy for like 9 minutes.
Get out of the car.
Danger, please don't tase me, sir.
Then get out of the car.
But like you can hear, this sounds like every cop interaction where it's like cops executing innocent like pedestrian or whatever, right? Like,
please, sir.
That's it.
Please, sir.
Step out. Come on.
Please, sir, stop this.
step out.
Call the supervisor.
Taser misfires. Dude, tasers are so shit. Oh my god.
Please.
Do you see
He's
this?
the supervisor, dude.
I want your supervisor.
Well, she's not here. That would be the captain. Step out of the car. Now.
Please. Please.
Hey, don't be reaching for...
Help, Matt. These
Dude,
cops,
get off the phone
these cops are
now.
violating
Hang
my
up,
rights.
dude.
I'm
We're
right
gonna.
here
That's
by the
it.
neighborhood. Please
I'm gonna
pull up.
tase you in 3.
Pull up.
Pull it with you in it.
Fuck you, dude. Oh.
Okay, I'm not gonna play the rest of the audio. I wouldn't recommend watching it. No, actually, you should watch this. You really should watch it because you've all watched like black people get killed over and over again by cops. You should see it from the other end. I'm not like trying to say like it's good that when cops kill innocent people. Obviously, that's fucking horrible. But like I think it's good to understand like all the different sides of how people interact with each other during these exchanges. Like it's super tense for all sides involved. It's pretty fucked up. The guy, as they're trying to pull him out of the car, the guy gets a gun. I think you hear one of the cops say, he's got a gun, and then he starts shooting immediately, and he drops one cop almost instantly. He shoots the other one, and then I think as the other cop is screaming, I think he executes him on the ground and then walks away to his friend that picks him up. Yeah, just, ugh. Yeah. So, hold on. I just want to finish watching this one. Sorry. Jeez. Did they eventually catch the guy? Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Bill Gates, $6 Canadian and 99 cents. Calm link online.
The gun. Let go of the gun and put both of your hands up over your head. Over your head.
Get your hand up now! Hand up! Get your hand up! I swear to God, dude! Taser, again.
Is he shooting? Jesus. Oh, rip. That dude's super dead. Did he shoot? He shot back at them, or he shot at them first? Yeah.
You said this would be a chill stream, Jesus Christ.
Well, I didn't know there were more shootings. Jesus. This is all in the last week. Last winter, CBD killed Casey Goodson Jr., who was walking into his home. Oh, wait, no, hold on. It was this one. The Monday before, Columbus police shot and killed a black man named Miles Jackson in the emergency room at St. Anne's Hospital after bringing him there for a suspected overdose. Why would you bring this up as like an example of anything positive? What the fuck is wrong with you? This is all in the last week. Last winter, CBD killed Casey Goodson Jr., who was walking into his home with Subway sandwiches for his family. I wonder what happened here. Is there body camera footage of this? But yeah, the way that the lady phrases that last tweet, it sounds like the cops just showed up at the hospital and executed some dude. Ohio cops chant Blue Lives Matter after colleague shoots and kills teenage girl. Award-winning progressive host of At the Damage Report and At the Young Turks. How disgusting. Fuck me, dude. I get to watch this evolve in real time. I can't wait for Vosh to fucking tweet all this shit, and then tomorrow or maybe the day after, so he rides that out a little moment. He's like, oh, well, you know, I didn't check it. I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't have done anything. I didn't know. Like, oh, I didn't know, guys. It was just another mistake that I made. LOL. Can't wait to do it again. LOL. I feel like lefties on the... Vosh's understanding of, like, responsible reporting is like a 9th grader when you tell them in the Catholic Church about how confession works. And they're like, oh, shit. The holy sacrament of confession. So you're telling me I can go on like a giant murder spree and then I could just do like confession and reconciliation and then I'll get into heaven? LOL. Right? Like it's the same level of understanding. He already retweeted it. Oh, yeah, of course. Wait, is the 15-year-old child a 16-year-old child? Are these two different things, or is this... It's the same kid. Some people are saying 15 and 16. Then officers taunted people in the neighborhood. Doesn't the officer say...
Oh, blue lives matter. Get the fuck out of here.
Blue lives matter.
Get the fuck out of here. Like, come on. Blue lives matter.
No.
Fuck blue lives matter. Fuck black lives matter. Fuck is you...
Yeah, no, we don't really hear the cop. We don't hear the cops say it at all in here. Protest at the police station. Oh, man. Literally everyone besides the cops said blue lives matter. Yeah. Her aunt said 15, but her mom corrected it to 16. Do you think that you could not support BLM as a movement if stuff like this keeps happening? I mean, I support the ideas. I don't know about the people, man. Jesus Christ. It feels like for everything that's happened in terms of like social positions and all these issues that I've defended, it feels like like if the reasonable position is right here, it feels like I've spent like so long arguing against people that are like over here, and they're trying to claim that everybody's arguing for what's over here, and then I'm over here saying like, oh, no, we're right here. This is what it should be. This is what it should be. This is what it should be. And these people over here are also saying, oh yeah, right here. This is what it should be. This is what it should be. And then the people over here are like, oh, postmodern Marxist, blah, blah, blah. They're all over here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, right here. Like, this is the chill spot. It's cool. But then once all these people get like banned from social media and removed from everything and deleted from the internet, now I feel like I'm standing here saying things like, hey, like just because you don't have a genital preference, that doesn't, or just because you have a genital preference, that doesn't make you transphobic. Wrong. It does. We actually are arguing for what's over here. And I'm like, wait, what? Not every single cop is a horrible, evil bastard. Wrong. They're all horrible and evil. What? I don't know what's happening. We got bamboozled. There's got to be like some fucking Mission Impossible movie or whatever where like the protagonist is like he spends half the movie working for like the US people and he finds out he's getting manipulated, and then he turns over to another country, and then halfway through he finds out he's still getting manipulated, and he's like, oh no matter where I go, somebody's using me. It's Final Fantasy Tactics, actually, right? The Breonna Taylor case, the police had a no-knock warrant and didn't announce themselves. Why would they still be in the wrong? They'd just be following orders now. I think that the court rulings on the Breonna Taylor case, I think were largely correct. If the police had a no-knock warrant, I think that what they did was probably okay. For the boyfriend that fired back at the police, I think that was probably okay. For the police to return fire after the boyfriend fired, I think that was probably okay. For the guy shooting outside, that dude was just lost. I don't know how he wound up with a gun or a badge, but that guy was in the wrong place in life at like the wrong time in existence. That guy needed to be way the fuck, like doing some way different line of work. Holy shit. Wasn't the no-knock warrant revoked? I don't think the no-knock warrant was revoked. I think that they just decided to do it differently. Why are you drifting so back towards conservatism lately? I don't feel like I am. I feel like most of my positions are more or less like unchanged. It feels like beneath me, like everybody is like so much further left than... Does this turn from people like you rethink why skeptics were so incoherent? The problem is I think that those guys were legitimately too far right. So it's like, that's like the weird thing is it feels like people on both sides are making these insane claims. And I feel like I was right to push back against one, but then I feel like the people on the other end weren't legitimate either. I don't know. You were definitely further left in 2016? I don't think that's the case. I don't think so. Didn't you fully support Bernie in 2016? Yeah, but I thought different things about how like corporations like influence elections. I don't think my actual like political positions moved much. Like I'm still like I would still consider myself to be very far left socially. I'm still in favor of like universal health care, huge social safety nets. I think that like the gap between rich and poor should be alleviated. I believe in higher progressive taxation rates. I think that we shouldn't have laws discriminating against trans people. Like I don't know, I think I'm like pretty far left on most issues that I know about compared to most people on the planet. I just spent so much time fighting against conservatives, like. Maybe I gave the illusion of being way further left. But it feels like online, it feels like the political discourse has moved really, really far to the left, right? Like you've got to consider 4 years ago, it was like centrists that were giving cover to Nazis, and now it's socialists giving cover to tankies. Like that's like an unbelievable pendulum swing in like 3 to 4 years. Well, you constantly advocated for the mass censorship of conservatives. What did you expect would happen? I actually never did that. Well, I did change like later on, but that was only because conservatives did it to me, and I was like, okay, well, fuck it. But this is actually not true. People assign me so many different positions that I've never had. Like, I think I legitimately remember tweeting out when Sargon initially got taken down from Twitter. I think I tweeted out like, I don't think we should celebrate when somebody gets like banned from Twitter. I don't think that's a good way to win like discourse. I specifically remember tweeting that out. And I did that with a few people that got banned from like social media.
King Stallion, $5. Left and right are strictly economic.
Oh, I said the same thing too when JonTron got like removed from like voicing things. I was like, I don't think that's the way to go. I don't think that's good. But then I found that anytime I got banned, anytime that I got banned from any platform, I noticed that like all the conservatives that I debated would like celebrate me like getting banned. I was like, okay, well, fuck you guys. Like I noticed that all the Still Gray, the Nick Fuenteses, the JFs, like the Ethan Ralphs, like all these guys came out and were like laughing about me. And I was like, okay, well, fuck you guys. Like I don't care about this shit. Do you think you're at least partially responsible for all the lefties on Twitch these days? Yeah, I think so. I think I kind of grew the political platform here. And then because I attacked so many conservatives, I kind of fostered a really far left-leaning. I probably should have I should have tried to curtail that earlier on. I mean, when I noticed it, I stopped it, right? But the problem is they all had somewhere else to go. So maybe I should have been less aggressive fighting with the socialists in my audience, and maybe I should have been more rhetorically. I don't know. The thing is that any time I gave even the softest criticism to the left, people lost their fucking minds. I don't know if I could have been any gentler with those people. People on the left are really, really, really fragile. I'm not sure. I don't know the history, but were there a lot of longtime members of your community who left your community when you started arguing with conservatives and thought you were going too far left? Yeah. My old YouTube editor, Jewel Wield, was like pretty conservative. He ended up feeding a lot of footage to Naked Ape when he made his big hit piece video about me. Thought about talking to people who work in politics more, making some friends with political scientists. No, I feel like everybody that works in politics is so weird. Jeez. Pretty sure this cop said Blue Lives Matter before the video started rolling. You can go read my tweet if you want. I post the full video. If you can go back further and find it, I'd be curious to see it. I could be wrong, but I don't see it at all in the video. I hear the one guy saying Blue Lives Matter, and then he follows it up. It sounds like he saw like a flag or something on a cop car, and that's why he said it. That's what it seems like. I could be wrong. So anything we can do to support people like RGR getting the amount of hate? And like I offered to chat with her offline and stuff, but I don't like to publicly support people because when you're like aligned with me, you end up getting more shit than it's worth. So it seems like really rough. I basically have to like take somebody into my community fold like completely because they're going to be completely ostracized from the rest of the internet, or I just have to disassociate really hard, right? Because I'm pretty much, like I said, I'm like the easiest person to attack or shit on online for stuff. So I think being aligned with me is like a really risky. The Destiny Sphere. Yeah, true. What are these random explosions that started the beginning of fights? Do you think she's going to purge those people? Riley's already done like 1 or 2 purges, so I don't know how much she can afford. And the problem is her community is so much smaller. Like she takes it like way more personally when like people go crazy or whatever, because she doesn't consider herself to be like that extreme of a person. And she's not usually used to, because her community is like relatively wholesome. Like she's not used to having like a fuck ton of people online just like coming at her like so unbelievably vitriolically. So unbelievably vitriolically. Fuck, I wish my debate today would have been better. God, what a horrible... Oh, man. Don't you think it seems like RGR is going hard against socialists out of nowhere, though? Like, where did the sudden shift come from? I think she just went through that one Twitter thread and saw all the people, like, unironically advocating for violence. And maybe it set her off? I don't know. It's not like she's, like, a huge fan of mine or something, or, like, watches, like, all my shit or something. Some people seem to think that I, like, brainwashed her. Why is it that my blasters don't always shoot? What's happening? Weird. He was so incredibly wrong. Marginalism, not accounting for labor. Fuck, yeah, I needed a more formal. I went and I read a little bit when I was off stream. I wish I had a more formal foundation in economics because like everything is just stuff I've gleaned, and I try to put theories together and shit, but it's kind of like painfully obvious when I'm lacking like in some fundamental level. So I think the account of an economic like for production is supposed to be it's when the marginal I should know this. It's when the marginal cost of labor is equal to when you stop producing, when it's equal to the marginal cost of the next good produced. I think it's something like that, right? That's how much you produce up to. Like that's where the equilibrium hits. Marginal cost of labor equals MPL, marginal product of labor. When the marginal cost of labor equals the marginal product of labor, yeah. So if every new unit of labor that you have is producing like greater like labor, like as soon as you hit an equilibrium where one more unit of labor won't produce one more product of labor, then that's where the equilibrium is. But I also like the problem too is that like, to be totally honest, I'd never heard of the word marginalism before my entire life. Maybe I should have like, but I don't want to just stand in the middle of the debate like, I don't know what you're saying I am, or like I just assume maybe you just mean I believe in like marginal cost. Like I can roll with that, I guess. I can kind of like bullshit that on the fly. Vosh's community saying you lost the debate. Vosh's community is full of brainlets who had no idea what the fuck we were talking about. Even regardless, I don't think I lost that debate. I think that it felt to me like he fell apart pretty hard. I think when he's pushed to give a single real world account of his theory being predictive at all and he's not able to do it, I think that makes him look pretty bad. Him trying to say that like a marginalist doesn't take into account any of the factors of production when figuring out like the final cost of like any good or service, it's just so on its face wrong to me. I'm not even sure. I don't even know. Like that's like such an outlandishly stupid claim. I don't know. I'm not even like paying attention to my shit. Oh, and then I can go invisible until my shit reloads. Oh, that's kind of nice. And then they're all ready. Are you nervous about the wolf debate? I don't think so, but who knows? We'll see. Should have pushed him on his scientific hypothesis shit. There's no such thing as a scientific hypothesis. Hypothesis can be tested scientifically, but adding the word science doesn't give us a hypothesis any more credit. Oh, sure. Wait, am I crashing into this? Well...
Nicholas Duorio, $4.99. Thoughts on the EDP 445 situation?
Is that the football shit? No. Oh, I super overkilled that guy. Whoops. Do you debate when someone rambles a bunch of nonsense anyway? Like if an innocent is bullshit, can you call that out, or is it too risky? I don't know. It just depends on how confident I'm feeling. If I can identify that somebody said a few things that I know are wrong, I usually I'll just call out everything, even if I'm not sure. Well, you match Wolf's energy. He seems to go hard and seems to go for a lot of rhetorical points. Yeah, I'll try. But I think me and Wolf will probably discuss stuff that's a little bit more substantial, rather than just like whatever kind of weird shit I was talking about today. Oh my god, this ship is super fragile. Is there a condor up here? Yeah, there is. Oh, a carrier. Oof. Okay. Subtle condescension the whole time was rhetorically effective for a lot of people. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is my speed really this slow? Christ. Feel it hurts the BLM movement as a whole. If people just defend every single person that gets shot by the police, yeah, it's pretty stupid. I don't know why people. Well, I know why people do it, but I mean, what are you gonna do? What?
Why'd people happy?
Cool. Marx is a peace calling question for trade where he explains free trade is bad for workers extensively, but then it's just hides contradictions and the capital brings Palmer. I think it's interesting to ask why elections support policy based on how they accelerate us through capitalism like this, and it's not owners for helping people in that. Well, that's what someone would do, right? Someone would say we should bring about the immediate downfall of capitalism to.
Works, $20. I've watched 2 of your debates over a few days and wow. Thank you for battling the smooth brains and making it a show.
Thanks.
The Eric Stryker and BLM Twitter user debate. Freaking gold man.
Thanks, but I try. Ouch. Oh my god. Shouldn't these things just explode when we're done with them? Oh, maybe poopy ass drone. I think it's worth prefacing with, I may know nothing about X when someone brings up a dumb fuck point. No, I think that when you say that, you end up weakening your own position, even if it's true. It's usually rhetorically more effective to feign knowledge, even if you're ignorant on something. Why are you using heavy maulers on your universal slots? I don't know. That's just what I decided to stick here.
I think I speak for everyone when I say we appreciate your ability to analyze things in a rational and critical way.
Wow, thanks, buddy.
Love you, buddy. Bonus meme, Jason enters 6 races: biking, canoeing, horseback riding, ice skating, running and swimming.
Oh no. You need to go shock him. Fuck. My carrier, my griffin. No. You still drink hot chocolate? I got one right here, buddy. It's interesting to know response to that Q&A question about marketing and staging not being able to take into account by the LTV. Well, it feels like it seems like his default answer was just like, oh, well, that's not supposed to be answered by the labor theory of value, which I don't know, it's whatever. Do you think you could have demonstrated much more clear that Pogan wasn't really answering your questions? It seemed really hard to, considering he constantly made, like, every time I would ask a question, his answers were always so verbose. Oh yeah, I guess we'll listen to this before I go to sleep. Fuck it. It's a good lecture, I've heard.
Okay, this morning we're going to finish talking about Marx, and we're going to focus on the failures of Marxism and the legacies of Marxism. And the failures are connected to the legacies in important ways that will unfold as we proceed with today's discussion. I began this already on Monday by talking about the difficulties with Marx's assumptions about scarcity and superabundance. And we saw that just as Mill couldn't banish politics from politics through the mechanism of a neutral definition of harm, Marx is unable to banish politics from politics by somehow wishing distributive conflict could in principle go away. We saw that that notion of superabundance that informs his communist utopia is incoherent
Nikolai
in
Bibic,
principle.
$5.
And that means...
What do you think about the super straight meme? I think it started as a troll, but some people now honestly identify.
Yeah, it probably started transphobic, and then people are memeing it into existence now.
That distributive conflict is endemic to human society, no matter how much wealth there is. And some principles for the distribution of income and wealth are going to have to be argued about and defended regardless of what is produced in society or what could be produced in society. The second failure of Marxism is well known, but we should nonetheless mention it, which is that his historical predictions turned out to be hopelessly wide of the mark. Not only was he wrong in 1830 and 1848 when he thought that communist revolutions were about to sweep through Europe.
I have one. Say my name's
They were both A, not communist, and B, quickly reversed in any event within a couple of years. His larger historical predictions were also wrong. He thought communism would come, socialist revolutions, for reasons that you now know because we've worked through the macro theory. He thought that socialist revolutions would occur in advanced capitalist systems that had become uncompetitive because of the replacement of competitive capitalism with capitalism with monopoly capitalism. And in fact, where we saw revolutions bearing the communist label was in peasant societies in Russia and in China, or in Eastern Europe, in countries where it was actually more or less imposed from the outside by the Soviet Union after World War II. We didn't really see any society go through the sort of path Marx was thinking of in his larger teleological theory of history, namely from feudalism to capitalism to socialism to communism. It simply didn't happen. And as the reversals of the revolutions of 1830 and 1848 remind us on a smaller scale, Marx's bigger idea that there's some purpose or direction to history seems questionable by the first decades of the 21st century. History doesn't go in a single direction. And this is a theme to which we will return. But you can see movements toward more egalitarian systems and then movements away from egalitarian systems. You can see democracy created, and then you can see it collapse into authoritarianism. So that there isn't a single teleological or directional focus of history of the sort that Marx was looking for. So on the big predictions, Marxism doesn't look very good from the vantage point of the 21st century. But some of his smaller predictions were also wrong in ways that are, in some respects, more interesting for our purposes. And so I'm going to go back through some of his arguments and focus on things that were wrong with those arguments that we can nonetheless draw some interesting conclusions about as we go on our way in examining the moral foundations of politics. And I'm going to start with his macro theory and talk about some difficulties with that. And then I'm going to go backwards into the micros theory. So we're doing the reverse, if you like, of what we did on the way in. We started with the micro theory, and we saw how that generated the macro theory. Now we're going backwards through the macro theory, and then we will go back into the labor theory of value and the assumptions about workmanship that underlie it that he took over from Locke and secularized and modernized, as you know. So if you will recall from Monday's lecture, Marx's macro theory was an invisible hand theory like Smith's, except it was a malevolent invisible hand, whereas Smith's was a benign invisible hand. And one element of it was the argument about the potential for liquidity crises, that there would be the possibility that people would hoard money, that money would stop flowing through the system, and the system would thereby become sclerotic. It is the case that capitalist systems have the potential for liquidity crises, but one of the things Marx greatly underestimated was the capacity of capitalist states in capitalist societies, to address things like liquidity crises and other things as well, we'll see. It's almost as if he didn't really take it seriously when he and Engels said in the Communist Manifesto that the state in capitalist society is the executive committee of the bourgeoisie. He underestimated what the state could actually do to preserve capitalism. A good example in the early years of this system was a huge liquidity crisis in Mexico, where the whole Mexican economy was on the verge of complete collapse, but the Western governments, led by the United States, put together a $50 billion package to resolve that, to pump liquidity into the Mexican economy until the crisis was over, and they succeeded. And so we didn't see the kind of collapse in the Mexican economy that liquidity crisis had the potential to create. So the argument about the potential for liquidity crises is valid, but we have no particular reason to think they can't be managed once the sources of liquidity crises are understood and governments have the levers available to them that were made available to the Mexican government during the Clinton administration in the US. Secondly, Marx has this argument about the declining tendency in the rate of profit. As I said to you, every classical political economist believed that there was a declining tendency in the rate of profit in market systems, and they thought one of their jobs was to account for it. They thought it was definitely the case that there is this phenomenon, and you had to explain why it occurs. In fact, if we look over the long course of capitalism since the 19th century, it's far from clear that there is, as an empirical matter, a long-term declining tendency in the rate of profit. In Marx's case, as you know, his story about the declining tendency in the rate of profit had to do with the increasing capital intensity of production, that as capitalists compete by relying more and more on what he calls constant capital, there's less and less fresh value created. And so what capitalist entrepreneurs do at the margin to be more competitive, in the long run to more profitable, in the medium run makes them less profitable. So the capitalist who puts the spinning jenny in increases his profits in the short run, but when there's spinning jennies in every cotton factory in the economy, the rate of profit is lower than before the first spinning jenny had been put in. And Marx identified that as the basic dynamic driving the declining tendency in the rate of profit. Two problems with it. One is that it assumes there's a sort of finite number of industries. Because you could grant his argument and say, yeah, it's true that the rate of profit in the cotton industry will fall as it becomes more and more capital intensive. But there are all kinds of new industries that are going to come into being all the time. So capital will flow eventually into other industries. And they'll start out with big profit margins, and then the profit margins will get competed away. But then capital will go somewhere else. So unless you have this idea that there's a sort of fixed number of lines of production, such that once profits start to fall in all of them, they're going to fall economy-wide, there's no particular reason, even working from Marx's own premises, to think that he's come up with any lasting account of why the rate of profit would fall in capitalist systems. Moreover, even putting that problem to one side, if you think about it, if it is the case, even if it is the case that making capital production more capital intensive reduces profit margins in the long run, nonetheless, if productivity goes up at a more rapid rate than capital displaces labor in the production process, then you won't necessarily see the rate of profit fall. So if the rate of increase in productivity exceeds the rate at which capital is displacing labor, or put it in Marx's jargon, constant capital is displacing variable capital, then there's actually no reason to expect the rate of profit to fall. So it all depends on how much more productive capital makes labor. And there's no theoretical answer to that question. It's an empirical question. So even though Marx thought there was a declining tendency in the rate of profit, it's debatable whether, in fact, there is. And it's certainly not the case that his theory explained why it should occur. His third argument, competition eliminates competitors. And because production is becoming more and more capital intensive, entry costs are going up, and you're not going to see new people coming into the market. I told the story about NASA and the O-rings on the Challenger blowing up. There was nobody to come into the market and take over there. And so you have a monopoly, not very efficient monopoly producer who lacks the incentive to innovate, and we have the sorts of problems we saw that developed with Morton Thiokol in that instance. So that's also true only under a fairly restrictive set of assumptions which might not turn out to be true. After all, there are some industries in which there are economies of smallness. Think about Apple computers invented in somebody's garage in California, completely upending IBM and the big established capital-intensive computer firms and totally transforming that market. So it's not necessarily true. Marx had in his mind 19th century industrial production, steel works, cotton factories, this sort of thing. But it's a very historically bounded perception of what it is that goes on in economic systems. And there might be all sorts of sectors in the economy that tend to resist the development of monopolies, and in which there are various economies of smallness that actually lend themselves to the constant entry of new players that keep revitalizing the system. And I think the information technology revolution that has accompanied your generation would be Exhibit A in defending that proposition. Underconsumption, or sometimes it's said overproduction, obviously means the same thing. The way we put it into Marx's sort of conceptual scheme was the argument that the workers collectively couldn't buy everything they produced. Smith believed that, Ricardo believed that, Marx believed that. Early theories of imperialism were partly dreamed up in order to explain that you get imperialism partly as a result of the search for new markets to address the endemic weak demand in capitalist systems. Marx is not the only person who thought there was endemic weak demand in capitalist systems. Indeed, Keynes, the great English economist of the first half of the 20th century and the theorist whose ideas informed the policies to end the Depression, also thought there was endemic weak demand in capitalist systems because of a diminishing marginal propensity to consume. Keynes's idea was, if you have no money and I give you $1, you'll spend it. But if you have $1 million and I give you $1, you'll save it. And so when you get into recessions, the problem is weak demand. And so you get the Keynesian answer to recessions or depressions is to spend money at the bottom. For governments to do that largely through borrowing. And this is, of course, what first the George W. Bush administration in its final year and then the Obama administration in its first year have been doing, a classic Keynesian response to what's now being called the Great Recession, to prevent it from becoming a Great Depression. Namely, the state borrows money, tries to spend it in the parts of the economy that will stimulate demand, and then will get the economy going back up. So again, this is an example of Marx's chronic underestimation of the capacity of the state to do things that will stave off crises or manage crises or prevent them from becoming catastrophically bad. And so, you know, I think we've seen a vivid illustration of that in the last couple of years. Finally, working class consciousness. As all of these other things were going on and making the system, you know, creak at the joints and become less and less functional, Marx thought that the workers would start to become a class for itself. The workers would start to see that they were getting ripped off and get angry about it, become mobilized and militant, and reach the point where they believed that they had nothing to lose but their chains. Now, there are two problems with that. One, we already mentioned on Monday or last Wednesday, and this is that Marx was half right in thinking that people judge their utility by what others get. They don't just ask the Reagan question, am I better off than I was 4 years ago? They do pay attention to what others get, but they generally, and this is the part where he was wrong, and 100 years of industrial sociology has now pretty much established this, they tend to compare themselves to similarly situated people. So workers in the auto industry compare themselves to steel workers or coal workers, not to the executives who run the firms in which they actually work. And that's true up and down the occupational scale. I think I mentioned a professor will be much more upset to learn that their salary is $5,000 less than the professor in the next office than they will be to learn that their salary is $500,000 less than the attorney who lives down the street. People compare themselves to others, but to similarly situated others, not to people very far from them in the socioeconomic order. And so that kind of militancy doesn't eventuate. More importantly, Marx actually conflates the relative immiseration of the proletariat with the absolute immiseration of the proletariat. So if we went back through the slides and we went back to the discussion of the theory of exploitation, remember when we did that little exercise and we saw that you would all actually agree to be more exploited on his definition than less exploited, when you had the choice of either going to a 10 hours working day with new technology or an 11 hours working day without it. But that measure was a relative measure. It was what you get as a proportion of the total surplus as compared with what the capitalist gets. It wasn't an absolute measure. And we saw that it's perfectly possible for the rate of exploitation, as he defines it, to go up while the level of wages remains constant or even increases. So wages might be going up as well as exploitation at the same time. Well, but if that's true, you're never going to reach absolute immiseration. You're never going to actually reach the point where workers are literally falling into poverty. And if it's the absolute immiseration that has to trigger the militant action, the working class consciousness, it's not going to happen. And indeed, here again, Marx greatly underestimated what governments can do to make sure that the workers don't reach the point where they have nothing to lose but their chains. In the 1950s, an English Marxian political economist called Ralph Miliband, whose son now is a British cabinet member, by the way, David Miliband, and is the likely next leader of the Labour Party after they lose the elections in May to David Cameron. David Miliband's father, Ralph, wrote a book called The State in Capitalist Society in the 1950s. I think it was 1954, but don't hold me to it, in which he said, the welfare state is capitalism's best friend. You know, the right always attacks the welfare state, but it's capitalism's best friend because it buys off working class discontent, and it ensures that workers have a stake in the existing order and that they will never reach this proverbial situation where they have nothing to lose but their chains. So when you work your way through this macro theory, it's riddled with holes and doesn't add up to the collapse of capitalism, and it's not, therefore, particularly surprising that capitalism didn't collapse in the ways that Marx predicted. But now let's dig in a little bit more to the micro theory and the micro foundations of Marxist thinking, because I think this is where we will find some interesting lessons for our own project in this course going forward. At the heart of the micro theory is the labor theory of value. And we're going to say something about three aspects of it. We're going to talk about Marx's assumptions about living human labor, the moral argument behind the labor theory of value, which many people you will find in this room find appealing despite the problems with the labor theory of value, and then some alternative formulations of what it is that he was trying to do.
Who's coughing?
If you think back to when we were doing the exposition of the labor theory of value, I said that Marx defends it, living human labor power, as a source of value by saying it's the only thing that goes into the production, it's the only thing that creates fresh surplus value. Okay? So one difficulty is, and John Roma points this out in that piece that I had you read, it ignores the contribution of dead workers. That living workers, for instance, when we talked about the introduction of machinery, the spinning jenny or whatever, what about the workers who made the spinning jenny? Aren't they part of this calculation? Aren't they being exploited either by the capitalist or by the living workers who use the spinning jenny? So if you took it seriously, you'd have to say those exploitation indexes are way too simple because they don't capture the contribution of dead workers. But then a second thing it doesn't capture, the labor theory of value assumes the capitalist contributes what? Nothing? But why isn't it the case that what the labor that the capitalist performs also goes into the creation of the surplus? And again, I think you've got to imagine, get yourself back into this 19th century mindset. For intellectual work doesn't seem particularly important. You know, you're just running these big factories. But of course, you know, when we think about what the role of entrepreneurial ideas is in the creation of productive systems, it's absurd to say that the work of the capitalist doesn't contribute anything to the value of what's produced. But then you get into the problem, well, how do you discover what is the result of the work of the worker and what is the result of the work of the capitalist? And there's no mechanism for dealing with that. And then what about the fact that the worker in Marx's typical model has a spouse at home, feeding him, making his sandwiches as he goes to the factory and so on and so forth? What about the spouse at home? Why is it just the worker who's being exploited? And various theorists have said, if you take Marxism seriously on its own premises, it seems that, again, just as with the dead worker, the stay-at-home spouse is either being exploited indirectly by the capitalist or is being exploited by the worker who goes to work, for whom she is doing unpaid labor. And so we've had a series of feminist critiques of the labor theory of value. And this gets recognized in daily life. There's a very interesting 1986 divorce case in the state of New York in which a couple had gotten married. He had gone to medical school. She had stayed at home and darned his socks and made sandwiches for him.
Oh, and then they divorced when he graduated,
helped him
right?
through medical school. Anyway, many years later, they get divorced. And apart from the usual issues in the divorce, the court said that the stay-at-home wife had a property interest in her husband's medical practice. That was a byproduct of the work that she had put into it by darning his socks and making his sandwiches, and he went to class and built up his practice. And so they awarded her 40% property interest in the practice and required him to maintain life insurance in her name for the rest of his life so that her property interest could be protected. So what you can see once you start to do this, I've just given 3 areas where this runs into trouble. Once you take seriously the idea that labor is the source, or labor power, the capacity to work, is the source of value, why zero in this monomaniacal way on what one worker does in the production process? What about all of the others who contribute to the productivity of the process, either directly, as with the capitalist, or indirectly? And
what were the 3 examples? So one was why discount the labor that the capital owner puts in by founding the business. The other one was dead labor applied to previous capital. And then a third was like stay-at-home spouses, I think.
Of course, once you make this point about the stay-at-home spouse, what about the Sunday school teacher that drummed the work ethic into the worker? Didn't that Sunday school teacher contribute something to the productivity of the worker, and so on? So you're going to get, this huge web of indecipherable, entangled entitlements if you're trying to trace out who contributed what work to the creation of something of value. More fundamentally, let's dig into the assumption that making creates entitlements. After all, for Marx, this is what seems to give the theory its ideological edge. As I said, it's a secular version of Locke's workmanship. It's the claim that workers produce something for which they're not compensated. They produce something and the capitalist takes it. Right?
I wonder if Destiny thinks those are valid points. Well, it's not whether or not, so they're criticisms of the criticism. So what he's saying, I guess, is the problem is that Marx is saying that well, to figure out the value of something, we need to figure out the socially necessary labor that goes into it. We're not using market forces. We're going to create something separate of that. So then I guess the criticism is, okay, well, what is socially necessary labor? Why only include what the factory worker puts in? What about the people in his community that train the factory worker? What about the wife that works at home that enables the factory worker to do things? What about the prior capital that had been acted upon prior workers? You know, or like how, like, it seems that you have an unending web. If you're trying to establish value in this manner, it seems there's no good reason to stop at one individual worker rather than the network around him, is the argument, the criticism that he's putting forth here.
Right, that's the claim. And when we were doing the exposition of that, I said that what differentiates labor power from all other commodities is that it's necessary for the production of every commodity. It's the common denominator of all commodities. Remember, I gave you the example. I said, if I have a certain amount of money and I spend it on a meal, I consume the meal and it's gone. Whereas if I spend it paying somebody to paint my house, at the end of having consumed their labor power, I have a more valuable house. If I go to sell the house, I'm going to get more from it than I would have gotten but for having not having had it painted. And so that's the idea that the consumption of living human labor power leads to the creation of fresh exchange value, whereas mere consumption of a meal doesn't. Terrible argument. What's wrong with it?
Terrible argument. What's wrong with it? Let's ask again.
Whereas mere consumption of a meal doesn't. Terrible argument. And so that's the idea that the consumption of living human labor power leads to the creation of fresh exchange value, whereas mere consumption of a meal doesn't.
Wait, fuck, hold on.
Than I would have gotten but for having not having had it painted. And so that's the idea that the consumption of living human labor power leads to the creation of fresh exchange value, whereas mere consumption of a meal doesn't. Terrible argument. What's wrong with it?
Well, I don't understand. Does it change the value of some labor versus other labor or something, or make some labor unvaluable or something, or worthless? Not unvaluable, worthless.
Nobody can see what's wrong with it? Come on.
Guys, wake up.
Terrible argument. Hopelessly bad argument. Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Could the meal's value be that it keeps you alive?
Say a little more. You're dead right.
So the meal, even though you can only use it once, it is necessary for the sustained value of like yourself.
Okay, and what? But just take that thought a little further. Where does it go? You're dead right.
You're dead right. Now she's not going to get the rest. So much pressure.
So the value is like constant or something?
Well, not exactly, but the point is, it's just wrong to say, and I can consume that food. It goes, because after all, I have more calories of energy, which I could then use to paint my own house with, let's say. Of course, I might sit on the couch and watch the Super Bowl and just get fat, but that's my own decision, right? I can use that energy, right, to paint the house. And so a very interesting Cambridge economist called Piero Sraffa wrote a book called The Production of Commodities by Means of Commodities. In the, even though it's about an 80-page book, it took him 30 years to write. That's a whole different story, which I don't have time to go into. But this is what he said that's of interest to us. He said, imagine an economy that has 3 commodities: corn, books, food. I'm sorry, corn, books, labor. Corn is food. Corn, books, and labor. Yes, it's true that it takes labor to produce corn and to produce books. Yes, it's true that it does not take books to produce corn or labor. But it's not true that it doesn't require corn to produce labor and books. So corn or food or anything that's necessary for the production of labor power is going to have the same property that labor power has. It's going to be present necessarily, directly or indirectly, in all lines of production. And so Sraffa said, based on that idea, you can do a corn theory of value for this economy that will have exactly the same mathematical properties as the labor theory of value, and then you can do you can have your theory of the exploitation of corn by capital, the rate of exploitation of corn by capital that will be exactly analogous to the rate of the exploitation of labor by capital. There's no difference. Mathematically identical. Why is that interesting to us? It's interesting to us because it shows you that whatever Marx says about exploitation merely being a technical notion, it's not. It's a moral idea. We don't care, we even colloquially, we talk about the exploitation of natural resources, but we don't care, we don't say that the corn owns what was produced with the corn. We don't say the corn was exploited in the way the worker was exploited. We just don't. Think about an intermediate case. A horse down a mine shaft in a coal mine, hauling trucks of coal from the face to the elevator that's going to take it out. We could do the whole Marxian story. We could say the horse covers the cost of its feed in the first hour of the day. And it works 10-hour days, so the other 9 hours, it's producing surplus that accrues to somebody other than the horse. Is the horse exploited? Yes? No? Nobody thinks the horse isn't exploited? Some. Much trickier case, right? And the reason it's tricky is some people are much more open to the idea of animal rights than others, right? So, the bark tree said animals were the waste of God put there for our use, but we're not that hard-hearted, some of us. So if you think of the horse as in some sense a kind of moral agent, then it's not a happy thing that it's being exploited in this sense. But whether or not we want to say the exploitation is unjust, not just cruel if the horse is suffering, but unjust, depends upon some prior idea that people are, or creatures are entitled to the product of their labor. That's the workmanship idea. And that is why, even if you reject the labor theory of value, you're still left with this nagging idea that there's something to workmanship. Most people are not going to want to totally get rid of workmanship. If I write a book, I think I put all that blood, sweat, and tears into that book. It's mine, it's mine, my work. Somebody takes it. You've stolen something that I made. It's a very powerful thing in people. But not everybody accepts it, right? Not everybody accepts this idea, this very individualistic, centric conception that we own what we make. We have this kind of exclusive, to go back to the language of Locke in the first treatise, that God made us with the capacity to be miniature gods, to have the same ownership rights over what we make as he has over his creation. Look at Chief Seattle. He has a very different view. This we know, The earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to the earth. All things are connected like the blood that unites us all. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. Very different view of the world and our place in it, right? Not man-centric. And one of the reasons we started this course with Locke, this is where the individualism comes from. It's this workmanship ideal. Doesn't look individualist at all in Locke's formulation, because at the end of the day, it's a theological argument. It's an argument about God having make his rights over his whole creation. But it's the move of saying we are miniature gods that can behave in a godlike fashion, and then secularizing it, which leads to the individualism. Or consider something that Robert Nozick, a writer we're going to read later in the class, pretty soon actually, starting next week, he makes fun of the labor theory of value. He says, why does mixing one's labor with something make one the owner of it? Perhaps because one owns one's labor, self-ownership, if you like. And so one comes to own a previously unowned thing that becomes permeated with what one owns. Ownership seeps over into the rest. But why isn't mixing what I own with what I don't own a way of losing what I own rather than of gaining what I don't own? If I own a can of tomato juice and spill it into the sea so that its molecules, made radioactive so I can check this, mingle evenly throughout the sea, do I thereby come to own the sea, or have I foolishly dissipated my tomato juice? Why is it that we want to say, when I put effort and energy into something, that it's mine? Very, very perplexing and tricky thing. And we will come back to it in considerably more detail later in the course when we read John Rawls, because interestingly, it's not until we get to John Rawls that we find anyone who's really willing to radically question workmanship and the self-ownership postulate that goes with it. Okay, so Marxism seems problematic. So what's left? And I think there are really two main things left. One is the negative argument that comes out of Marxism, rather than any of its positive claims. And that is the fact that his theory of exploitation fails doesn't mean that he lacks a good critique of markets as distributors of either goods or harms in society. You know, we could go back to our story about Trump and the bag lady, for example. The Pareto superior result in that example, if you remember, was for the bag lady to die because there was no Pareto superior exchange that could occur between Trump and the bag lady. Markets reflect the inequalities that come into them, but they don't give any account of the justice of those inequalities. So there's this problem, if you like, of the tyranny of the status quo. And we saw that in the economic realm with the analysis of that problem, and in the political realm when we talked about the corn dealer problem with Mill, right? That the market systems are biased towards the status quo, but market principles are purely procedural principles. They tell you nothing about how you got the status quo, and so there's a kind of garbage in, garbage out problem with market systems. Nozick, we will see, makes this point explicit when he says any remotely plausible theory of justice is going to have three parts. A theory of justice in acquisition, i.e. a theory of starting points, a theory of justice in transfer, i.e. a theory of exchanges, and a theory of the rectification of past injustice, i.e. a theory for addressing accumulated injustices of the past. And Nozick will, for reasons which we will go into, thinks he has accounts of all of those things. But it's the negative argument of Marxism that markets are not justified by reference to the failure of Marx's own alternative theory is good. If you're going to have a justification for the distribution that occurs through markets, it's going to have to be something else. It's going to have to be provided. Maybe it can be provided, but so far in the utilitarian and neoclassical traditions, it hasn't been provided. So there's a kind of unfinished agenda there that's put on the table by the Marxian critique of markets, even though his answer to that, Marx's answer to that problem is unconvincing. And then I think, secondly, what Marxism leaves us to address is not an argument about the sources of value. The labor theory of value is just a hopeless analytical mess and can't be resuscitated. There's no way to fix the labor theory of value. But there is an argument about freedom. Remember where we started. I said, unlike the conventional wisdom that Marx is an egalitarian, no, he's a theorist of freedom. His utopian ideal is a world in which the free development of each is the condition for the free development of all, where our labor is not alienated. We saw that the utopian version of that is unsustainable. Nonetheless, Marx's definition of class, when you think about it, is really an argument about freedom. When he says you're working class, if you have to sell your labor power to somebody else in order to live, it's the compulsion, right? It's the compulsion. It's not whether you choose to. You know, I like lecturing here, having a captive audience of people who have to listen to me ramble on endlessly makes me feel good, but that's not what makes me working class, right? It's that I have to work for somebody else in order to survive. It's that element of compulsion. That's your lack of freedom. And that is the, so as Roma puts it in the essay that I put on the syllabus, it's that there's a class monopoly of the means of production which creates that power, that some people have the power to insist that other people work for them. So it's really not about the calculus of contributions and who puts what in, you know, whether the rate of exploitation is 2.33 or 1.6 or anything. It's not about that. It's really about the distribution of power in the production process. And if we're going to take anything from Marx that is of enduring value, it's going to be an argument about power. It's going to be an argument which says that a world in which we organize things so that one class effectively has power to control a different class's behavior, that is an unjust world. And much of the neo-Marxist literature that people take seriously jettisons the labor theory of value and explores this power-based argument as the root of what it was Marx was trying to get at with the concept of exploitation. See you on Monday.
Wow. See you on Monday, dude. All right. Well, I love you guys. It's been fun. Tomorrow is our big wolf debate. Good luck. What is Koiba doing awake? See you later, dudes.